Early morning. A quiet street in one of Dallas's peaceful neighborhoods. A couple steps out of their home for a routine walk with their dog. A doorbell camera captures them moving slowly down the sidewalk. And then, out of the darkness behind them, a masked man appears. He raises a gun and starts firing. 9 shots ring out in rapid succession. The man collapses to the ground. His wife screams. Neighbors rush out of their homes. The air fills with the smell of gunpowder. And the shooter calmly removes the victim's wedding ring, gets into a black pickup truck, and disappears. 49-year-old Jamie Faith dies right there on the street, right in front of his wife. At first, it looks like a brutal robbery. But very quickly, detectives begin to realize this wasn't random. This was planned. And the most shocking part, the trail leads to the person who seemed to have lost the most. This is a story about lies, manipulation, and a wife who may have orchestrated the murder of her own husband. Jennifer worked in healthcare management, while Jamie had spent 7 years as a manager in the IT department at American Airlines. Friends said computers and technology had been his passion since high school, and honestly, it was almost inevitable he'd build a successful career in that field. He also loved video games and sports. Together, Jamie and Jennifer lived a comfortable life. They traveled often and enjoyed their time together. So, when US Airways merged with American Airlines and Jamie's job required a relocation, they didn't hesitate. The Faith family moved to Dallas, settling into a beautiful home on a quiet street in the 1 to 1000 block of South Waverly Drive. They were the kind of couple who gave each other small, thoughtful gifts even without a special occasion, and they looked for any reason to celebrate. That Valentine's Day, Jennifer gave Jamie a personalized book, thanking him for making her life so wonderful. On October 8th, 2020, the couple celebrated the 15th anniversary of their first date, a meaningful milestone for both of them. Guys, I'll take just 15 seconds of your time. If you're enjoying this kind of content, make sure to support the channel, leave a like, and subscribe so you don't miss future stories. And I'm really curious, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Thanks for the support. Now let's get back to the story. The next morning, at 7:30 a.m., they went out together for a walk with their dog, Maggie. It was already light outside, quiet, calm, just another normal morning. Their Ring doorbell camera captured them leaving the house and walking down the street. Then, without any warning, a masked man began approaching from behind. He pulled out a gun and fired 9 shots in rapid succession. 7 of them hit Jamie, 3 to the head, 3 to the chest, and 1 more to the groin. Between the gunshots and Jennifer's screams, neighbors began rushing out of their homes, trying to understand what had just happened.
What happened?
After that, the shooter turned his attention to Jennifer. He knocked her to the ground and bound her wrists with duct tape. Then he tried to take her rings and even made a move toward Maggie. While Jamie lay on the ground, the man ripped the wedding ring from his finger, got into a small black pickup truck, and sped off. The air still smelled of gunpowder, and people stood around in shock, many already calling 911.
I hear the woman screaming for her life, hysterical. It sounded like a movie. So I hurry up and call the police saying, hurry and tell them I think...
Police arrived quickly, but there was nothing they could do. 49-year-old Jamie Faith was dead. Neighbors tried to comfort Jennifer right there in the street as she stood in shock and grief. The scene was overwhelming, almost impossible to process. Just moments earlier, she had been celebrating 15 years of their relationship, out walking the dog, and in an instant, her husband was shot right in front of her. Her life and Amber's had been turned completely upside down.
A woman from Dallas is trying to cope with a sudden loss that no one should feel. Her husband was murdered on their morning walk, and she had to watch it happen. Tiffany Liu has more on the case that's shaken not only their family, but the community as well.
On Friday morning in Oak Cliff, a husband and wife took their dog on a walk like they always do. But that would be their last walk together. Dallas police say the couple was approached by a man in a mask on Waverly. He shot and killed 49-year-old James Faith.
Typically, that's not how robberies occur. Typically, they just want your property.
No one goes to that extreme.
Police say the suspect tried duct taping the woman's hands together to steal the jewelry off her fingers, and they say he may have been trying to abduct her.
Had a mask on. She believed he was a Latin male, heavyset. He ran off when she screamed for help.
They believe he left in a black Nissan Titan with a Texas Ranger sticker on the back window.
So I'm asking the public to help us out.
Police are desperate to find the killer who took the life of Jamie Faith.
Homicides are horrible. It's one of the worst crimes that you can commit. And what it does to the family, you really just have no idea how it just tears a family up.
His wife is devastated. She tells me he was her best friend. He was the best husband and best father anyone could ask for.
But despite how devastated Jennifer was, police couldn't afford to wait. They quickly asked her to come in and give a statement.
I turned around and I just saw this person shoot and shoot. I couldn't believe, I didn't know why.
Was your husband like this? Did he couldn't say anything to him?
No, I think I was yelling no. I think he did the same thing. It just seemed quiet. That's all I remember in the shots.
And several shots?
Not a lot of shots. 5, 6 maybe, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kept going. And I couldn't stop it. The shot and my husband's expression. Just like the light got. And so I was like, the shot, and then I saw the person turn and like just dark eyes and coming toward me. And so I yelled no, and I had the dog, and I started to run, and he tackled me to the ground, and I stopped, ran, and he was hitting my face.
What made this even more shocking was that it happened in broad daylight. No one could understand who would want Jamie dead. But police pointed out that unfortunately his murder was just one of many violent crimes in Dallas that year. In 2020 alone, the city recorded over 200 homicides. Still, something about this felt different. Whoever did this acted boldly, taking a huge risk. It didn't feel random. It felt personal, intentional. Did Jamie know his killer? Or was this a robbery that went horribly wrong? But he was shot before anything was taken. The theft almost felt like an afterthought. So why such a brutal attack? And what about Jennifer being tied up? Was that part of an attempted abduction? There were too many layers to this case, and too much that didn't add up. All Jennifer could say was that the shooter was a man fairly large wearing a blue face mask and a dark hoodie. She also mentioned his eyes very dark, intense. Another neighbor who rushed out to help confirmed the same description.
We got up, we did our normal good morning thing, and I heard running behind me, and I turned around, and then just shooting just started. I was running up this driveway, and he tackled me and started beating on me and taped my hands together. We just really need some answers. If anybody knows anything, please contact the detective. Somebody has got to know whose truck this is, because it's a black Nissan Titan extended cab. It had a Texas Ranger sticker in the back window, and so it was very distinctive from that point. I'm sure they're overextended and spread very thin, but it doesn't help me in terms of finding the answers that I really need. We actually had been here 3 years to the day we signed for our house when this happened.
So you bought this house October 9th, 3 years ago?
Correct.
Same day your husband is murdered.
And the day prior to that, on October 8th, we had just celebrated being together for 15 years. Oh my God. If you know what happened, I need that for closure. I need to make some sense out of this. It's been horrible, devastating. I teeter between completely heartbroken and completely devastated every day. Amazingly caring, very kind. He would give you the shirt off his back. My partner, my best friend. I'm not supposed to be widowed at 48, you know? I just hope that at some point, maybe this person can recognize the gravity of what they've done and feel some sort of guilt enough to come forward.
The only real leads police had were these. The bullets came from a .45 caliber handgun, and the vehicle seen speeding away was a black Nissan Titan pickup with a T sticker on the back window. Investigators believe that T might stand for Texas Rangers, which led them to think the killer could be local someone from the area. At that point, detectives needed anything, absolutely anything that could help move the case forward. A GoFundMe page was set up to help Jennifer cover funeral expenses and support her and Amber after Jamie's death. Within a short time, it raised over $60,000. The person who organized it said they were shocked by how quickly the donations came in. People just wanted to help in any way they could. Neighbors also stepped in. They took turns bringing Jennifer food, spending time with her, making sure she wasn't alone and had the strength to get through this. Before long, more than 50 families in the neighborhood were helping bring in groceries, supplies, whatever she needed.
Crime Stoppers raising the reward this week to $25,000, the murder of James Faith happening in front of his wife. Do you think, sir, that this was a random robbery or something more sinister?
Right now, we know that the suspect did attempt to take property, but we're not going to limit the motives behind this investigation.
You know that black Nissan pickup truck, the one with the Texas Rangers decal behind the driver's side, or think you do? Call Crime Stoppers or call Detective Chris Walton, 214-671-3632. Help track down the killers of James Faith.
Jennifer held 2 funerals for her husband, one in Dallas, the other in Phoenix. At both services, people were given cards with phone numbers to call in case they remembered anything that might help the investigation. Those numbers were everywhere on keychains, cards, even coasters. But despite all of that, investigators kept hitting dead ends. There was no one in Jamie's life who stood out as a person of interest, let alone a suspect in his murder. And committing a crime like this for a couple of rings? It didn't add up. Experts said it looked far more like a professional hit a planned ambush, not a random attack. Jamie had installed several Ring doorbell cameras around the house. And one of them, near the back gate, captured something deeply unsettling. In the early hours of that same day, just before the shooting, a man was seen walking through the yard near a neighboring house. The home was empty at the time, so it definitely wasn't a neighbor. But his build matched the description Jennifer had given. This was around 2:30 in the morning. The fact that he had been there, watching the house just hours before the murder, led investigators to one conclusion. This wasn't random, it wasn't impulsive, this was planned. Police needed to speak with Jennifer again, maybe she would remember something, even the smallest detail. They asked to examine her phone, and she handed it over without hesitation. That's where they found something interesting, but not what they expected. Investigators came across a message she had sent to a friend. In it, she mentioned a man named Darren, someone she admitted she was having an emotional affair with. Strangely, there were no messages between her and Darren on the phone, but detectives were still able to identify him and track down where he lived. His name was Darren Lopez, and he lived more than 600 miles away near Nashville on a large and very secluded property. When local police looked into Darren Lopez, they discovered he owned a vehicle that matched the one they were searching for, a black Nissan Titan pickup with a T sticker on the back window. They passed this information along to Dallas police, who quickly organized aerial surveillance of his property and placed him under watch. And sure enough, the truck was there. Investigators also obtained his bank records and phone data. And from that moment on, things started moving fast. Even though there were no messages between Jennifer and Darren on her phone, Darren hadn't deleted anything on his end. In just 1 month between September 20th and October 20th, the two of them exchanged more than 14,000 calls and text messages, hundreds every single day. And what stood out the most, the only time there was complete silence between them was on the day Jamie was killed. 28 full hours. No contact. At all. On October 8th, the same day Jennifer and Jamie were celebrating their anniversary, Darren dropped his truck off for service. After that, he entered their home address into Google Maps. Then his phone tracked him on a nearly 12-hour drive to Dallas, Texas. His bank records showed stops along the way, gas stations, Red Bull purchases, cash withdrawals. When images of the truck started circulating in the news with that same T sticker, Jennifer sent Darren a message with a link to the article. It included a photo of the sticker on the back window. She wrote, "I woke up today feeling a little panicked. I can't shake the feeling that you need to remove that sticker from the back of your truck. I don't usually panic like this, but I really think you need to take it off as soon as possible today." The next day, Darren removed the sticker, but it was already too late. Police were already watching him, and they had already seen the sticker during aerial surveillance. At that point, Darren and Jennifer suddenly became the primary and essentially the only suspects. But their story didn't start there. They had known each other long before any of this. They dated in high school and college, but went their separate ways after Darren completed basic training and was sent to serve in Korea. Jennifer moved on, married her first husband, and they lost contact. Darren also got married and had 4 daughters, but in 2018, he and his wife separated. Friends said that after the divorce and after leaving the military, he became more withdrawn. During his service, he had suffered a traumatic brain injury. A roadside bomb in Iraq killed 19 of his fellow soldiers. After returning home, he struggled with PTSD. Combined with his isolation in the remote place he lived, it only deepened his loneliness. Eventually, his daughters moved in with their mother. And when the pandemic began, friends worried he would become even more isolated. But instead, Darren decided to reconnect with people from his past. In March 2020, 7 months before Jamie was killed, he reached out to Jennifer through an email address he found on LinkedIn. In his first message, he said he'd been following her on social media for months. He talked about his life, his children, their past, and told her that, without even knowing it, she had helped him get through 20 years of military service. He admitted he had thought about her for years and had always wanted to reach out. Jennifer replied just a few hours later, and honestly, she seemed incredibly excited. She said she had been trying to find him too. She even knew that he had lost his father in 2015. Her message was much longer, more detailed. She went through every part of her life, her family, her marriages, and even included photos. And at the end of the email, she wrote, "I'm sure you didn't expect to get a whole book in response, but once I started writing, I just couldn't stop. I really hope you're doing well and that you're happy. I've truly missed you all these years, and there were so many times I wanted to talk to you. Thank you for not giving up on finding me. Love, Jen." Soon, their connection turned into an emotional affair. They talked about 5-year plans, about being together someday. Jennifer even called him her soulmate. But Darren hesitated. Even though he had feelings for her, he didn't want to destroy her marriage. Jennifer told him there was no intimacy left between her and Jamie. Darren responded that she needed to be honest with her husband, that she should tell him the truth about her feelings. Still, investigators felt like something was missing. A piece of the puzzle just didn't fit. So they kept digging, reviewing emails, recovering deleted messages. And while all of that was happening, Jennifer, completely unaware, was trying to collect an insurance payout. In November 2020, she filed a claim with Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, seeking a payout of $629,000. But she was told that until she was cleared as a suspect, she wouldn't receive any of the money. She texted Darren about it. It seemed like both of them were confident they would eventually get that money, and they were already talking about buying a house together in Tennessee. From the moment they reconnected, Jennifer had been sending Darren money and gifts, including a new TV and 2 credit cards. She paid off those cards using $60,000 she had received from GoFundMe donations. At the time, Darren was in serious financial trouble. His house was close to foreclosure after months of missed mortgage payments. At one point, his water had even been shut off. In one of her emails, Jennifer wrote, "Here are my 2 main credit cards. The Amex has no limit, and the Visa is around $35,000, I think. Please don't hesitate to use them. for anything you need, especially for the girls. By the start of 2021, police felt they finally had enough evidence to move toward an arrest, but before acting, they wanted to see if the two of them would make one more mistake. On January 10th, a detective scheduled a meeting with Jennifer. Before that meeting, she sent Darren a message. "Don't text me on Monday. Sunday night, I'm going to do a full factory reset on my phone after deleting everything. If they ask about you, you're an old friend going through a divorce. We talk every night because I'm helping you through things with the girls. Just in case they check phone records and start asking questions." The next day, the police showed up at Darren's house with handcuffs.
Police in Tennessee arrested 48-year-old Darren Lopez, this man here, on Monday, and he's now being charged with murder of a Texas man after police say he allegedly drove from Tennessee to Dallas to shoot his ex-girlfriend's husband in October of 2020.
The warrant describes Faith only as a witness. She didn't answer our call for comment Tuesday and isn't facing charges.
Darren was arrested on state murder charges, along with a federal charge for unlawful use of a weapon. He pleaded not guilty to both and was held on a $1 million bond. Inside his home, investigators found the same gun linked to Jamie's murder confirmed through ballistic testing. They also found credit cards in Jennifer's name. Later, traces of Jamie's blood were discovered on the weapon. In his vehicle, police found a blue face mask believed to be the one worn on the day of the murder. After Darren's arrest, investigators questioned Jennifer again. She denied any inappropriate relationship between them, claiming they were just close friends. But something had changed. The woman who couldn't stop talking before had suddenly gone quiet. For months, she had been asking for help finding her husband's killer. And now, when someone had finally been arrested, she had nothing to say. A week later, Jennifer transferred $118,000 from her bank account to an unknown third party. A few days after that, she asked someone else to pass a message to Darren. "I just need to be careful right now because every message is being watched. Please tell him as soon as possible that I will always be his." Darren responded through the same person. "Please stay strong for us." The walls were closing in on Jennifer. And in less than a month, in February 2021,
8-year-old Jennifer Faith is now facing obstruction of justice charges related to the murder investigation of her husband.
she did not admit guilt. But the investigation was only gaining momentum. New details were emerging every day. Detectives began recovering deleted emails, and very quickly it became clear this story was far darker than it first appeared. Jennifer wasn't just writing to Darren as herself. She created a fake email account in Jamie's name and started communicating with Darren through it. The first message was shocking, aggressive. It laid out detailed claims of physical and sexual abuse. It even included photos of injuries. But none of it was real. Investigators later discovered those images had been taken from stock photo websites. There was no evidence that Jamie had ever abused her. One expert called it exactly what it was, a series of disturbing lies. And Darren believed every word. He replied to the person he thought was Jamie, saying Jennifer was afraid, that she was living in fear, and that he would step in to protect her. Jennifer kept going. More evidence, more stories, beatings, assaults, threats with weapons. She even created another fake account, this time posing as a friend who claimed to have witnessed the abuse and begged Darren to save her. It became a carefully constructed web of lies. And it worked. At some point, Jamie found out about their communication. It broke him. But Jennifer told a friend she had ended things with Darren for Jamie's sake. That wasn't true either. After months of manipulation, she made the final move. She called Darren and asked him to kill Jamie. Later, Darren would say, "I thought if I didn't do something, she was going to die." By October, the plan was set. Darren drove 10 hours to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. He waited in the dark for 5 hours, and when Jamie appeared, he shot him, took the ring, and disappeared. What investigators uncovered shocked even them. Fast forward to February 2021. Darren was already behind bars. Jennifer was in court. When she realized Darren knew the truth about the fake emails, she wrote to him, "I never lied to you." Even then, she kept denying everything. It took another 6 months for his attorney to finally convince him the entire story had been fabricated. And in October, 1 year after the murder, police brought new charges against Jennifer.
New this morning, the Dallas woman whose boyfriend allegedly shot and killed her husband is now charged with orchestrating the murder.
She was charged with using interstate commerce to carry out a murder for hire, a crime that can carry the death penalty. And when Jennifer realized that the death penalty was a real possibility and saw just how much evidence there was against her, she suddenly changed her position.
An Oak Cliff woman has pleaded guilty in federal court to orchestrating her husband's murder with help from her out-of-state boyfriend.
Jamie's family asked that she does not receive the death penalty, so prosecutors are now recommending a life sentence. She'll officially receive her sentence in May.
A woman from Oak Cliff has pleaded guilty in federal court to orchestrating the murder of her husband using a boyfriend who lived in another state. Jamie's family asked the court not to pursue the death penalty, and in response, prosecutors agreed to recommend a life sentence. Jennifer pleaded guilty. In exchange, prosecutors dropped the obstruction of justice charge and agreed to recommend life in prison. But there was one critical condition. The prosecution wanted something that meant everything to Jamie's family and friends. Jennifer had to officially admit that Jamie had never abused her physically, sexually, or in any other way. She signed a document confirming that all of her claims of abuse were completely false. In February 2022.
Dallas woman who convinced a man to murder her husband will spend the rest of her life in prison for her role in the plot.
On Tuesday, a federal judge sentenced Faith to life in prison.
A federal judge sentenced Jennifer Faith to life in prison. The judge called her pure evil. He also ordered her to pay $6,500 in restitution to Jamie's family, along with a fine of $250,000. Even from behind bars, Jennifer requested that $200,000 from Jamie's estate be transferred to her. Detectives called that request shameful, saying it revealed exactly who she really was. This wasn't someone accepting guilt out of remorse. She did it because it served her own interests. Jennifer's second husband, Rick, also spoke out, and despite how horrific the case was, he said he wasn't surprised. He described her as the most malicious person he had ever met. According to him, she once claimed that her first husband had abused her as well, telling a story almost identical to the one she later told Darren. Rick said the things he heard about that man were so graphic, so violent, that at one point he actually considered killing him. Jennifer seemed to enjoy manipulating him, almost taking satisfaction in watching him become angry and emotional on her behalf. And once again, there was never any evidence that her first husband had ever abused her. Even after Jennifer pleaded guilty, Darren continued to maintain his innocence. In July 2023, jury selection began for his trial. His defense argued that Darren believed Jennifer was in immediate danger when he shot Jamie. In their view, that could be seen as a form of self-defense under Texas law. They also emphasized that because of his PTSD and traumatic brain injury, Darren was vulnerable, and Jennifer took advantage of that. If convicted of first-degree murder, he faced anywhere from 5 to 99 years in prison. If convicted of second-degree murder, the sentence could range from 2 to 20 years. The jury had to go through a massive amount of evidence messages, emails, surveillance footage, the truck, the weapon. And even though many witnesses were expected to testify, there was only one person the public and media truly wanted to hear from: Darren himself. And to everyone's surprise, he chose to take the stand and tell his side of the story.
That alerted you or made you think that she was in serious danger more than ever before, right?
Well, yes, sir. I mean, we were talking daily. Like I said, he was starting to abuse her at that point.
And also evidence that you were not texting with Jamie. So.
Yes.
And that really the only person you were really talking to all this time was Jennifer.
Yes, sir.
How did that make you feel?
I was devastated.
Did Jennifer ask you to kill him?
Yes. All the emotions of everybody that I've lost. Started thinking about Ethan. He was my team sergeant's son who was murdered in Kentucky that we were there with, that we couldn't stop or do anything with. My granddaughter, Skylie, she died when I was in Iraq. She drowned. Thinking about it, I was talking to my daughter Summer about it and saying, Dad, why aren't you here? And this is where she used my honor and my love for my girls, because I would want to protect them as most I can. I took an innocent life. I took Amber's dad from her. A man who was like me. My two oldest daughters are my stepdaughters, but they're my daughters. I would never ever hurt Amber that way. Take her dad from that. That's what gets me, how Jennifer could do that to her daughter.
On cross-examination, Assistant District Attorney Brandy Mitchell pressed Lopez.
But you don't tell them that you're the love of your life, the woman you kissed at the Eiffel Tower, is getting gang raped. We got to do something. That never occurs to you.
Yes, it does.
But you don't do it.
No.
It's completely absurd, Mr. Lopez, that you and another grown man are bouncing back and forth doing updates on the fact that your girlfriend just got raped.
The defense team has tried to show that Lopez was manipulated by Jennifer Faith, and she seized on the fact that he had a brain injury and PTSD from the military. Lopez described himself as a victim, but seemed to recognize how that might appear to the jury.
But I'm not going to say I'm just a total victim. No, man, that would be disrespectful to Mr. Faith.
Ladies and gentlemen, the idea that Darren Lopez was justified in killing, in executing Jamie Faith, it is as absurd and unbelievable as those fake emails. Even if you give him every benefit of the doubt, even if you were to believe all of that, it still does not justify the murder of Jamie Faith.
Because of his service to this country, now he viewed danger differently. Because again, you have to look at it through his eyes. You have to put yourself in his position and how he viewed things. You know what? Yes, Jennifer's not sitting in this courtroom. She's not on trial, but her acts are intertwined so much that she is on trial and what she did. The only way the state can get around that is by trying to say, well, Darren must have known. He had to know that these emails were fake. That's the only way they're going to get around it. Because if you believe what Darren believed, that those were actual emails, then you know that she led him to do what he did. And this all started, just like my co-counsel said, in high school. He loved her. These memories were so important to him that he held on to them. Even when he first entered the military, he put them on a card. So if he was ever captured and tortured, he could use those memories to get through that traumatic event. She uses anybody the way she wants to. You heard from her prior boyfriend how she's been doing this since high school. Darren may have pulled the trigger, but she pulled Darren.
In July 2023, nearly 3 years after the murder of Jamie Faith, the jury reached a verdict. Darren Lopez was found guilty of murder. He was sentenced to 62 years in prison and fined $10,000. Later, he said that at the time of his arrest, he truly believed it was justified that he had saved Jennifer and Amber from a dangerous man. I became her weapon. I understand that now. At the same time, he insisted that Jennifer was the real criminal and said he was glad she was behind bars too. He plans to appeal. Prosecutors made it clear he had other choices. He just chose this one. Still, many agreed that he at least acknowledged his role and showed some level of remorse. In one interview, he was asked, "Do you think she ever really loved you?" He paused, then simply said, "I don't know." After everything, Amber moved away with the family dog, but she still keeps in contact with her mother in prison. All the GoFundMe donations were returned. And like so many cases we cover, this one leaves more questions than answers. What pushed Jennifer to do this? How did she go from what seemed like a perfect marriage to planning a murder in just a matter of months? She built a web of lies, destroyed Jamie's reputation, and ultimately took his life. And how quickly it all escalated is honestly terrifying. Prosecutor Rick Calvert said, "In all my years, I've never seen a case with more twists. It's as calculated as it is senseless." And everyone who knew Jamie said the same thing. He truly loved his wife and his daughter. He had the kind of life people dream about, and it was taken from him without ever knowing that the person he trusted most was behind it all. And that's where this story comes to an end. But cases like this are a reminder that reality can sometimes be more terrifying than anything you see in movies or fiction. Behind every story like this, there are real people, real events, and questions that may never be fully answered. If you found this video interesting, make sure to support the channel, leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. There are many more mysterious, chilling, and fascinating stories ahead. Thanks for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you in the next video.